So I'm sure most of you out there know by now that for 2019 Kawasaki, they came out their all new KX450 this year. This thing was all new, they say, from the ground up. So you got new frame, new swing arm, new motor, new spring forks, which I love. And I have to say that Kawasaki, they did a very impressive job. For a first year bike, it's won a couple of the shootouts. If you've been watching those, it's placing really, really high. So overall, just incredible bike stock. If you want to see the first ride review that we did with this bike, you can watch that video when you're done here, where I just give my thoughts and impressions on the bike bone stock. But as you can see in front of me, I've got about 25 hours on this bike now, so we've been riding it a lot, and we've just been slowly piecing it together, putting on some parts. And we just want to show you some parts that, for me, make the bike more comfortable, a little bit easier to ride. Also some parts for performance, and also just some bling factor, you know, parts that we like to put on the bike just to give it a cool look and make it your own. Now we know that when it comes to these bike builds, we don't expect you guys to just go out and get everything all at once for these bikes, but we want to show you what's available so you guys have a great understanding of, you know, what parts can be beneficial for you and to help you get the most out of your bike. So first thing we'll cover is suspension. So for 2019, Kawasaki, thank you. They went back to a spring fork. Now, I've ridden all the 2019 450s this year back to back on the same day, and I will admit that I think that this is the best production fork that I've ever ridden. It absorbs the small choppy stuff extremely well, just a very plush, comfortable fork to ride. So what you need to know about this bike is that the shock spring is actually stiffer. It doesn't really match up that well to the fork springs. I'm about 175 pounds dry. The shock spring was too stiff for me. So what we did is we put a lighter shock spring on there. We sent the suspension off to MX1 in St. George, Utah, and the fork, what we really wanted there was just a little bit more hold up in the mid stroke and a little bit more bottoming resistance, but to maintain obviously that plush suppleness at the top. And overall, they did a really good job. I couldn't be happier. You know, since they've done that, I added a little bit more oil for a little bit more bottoming, and I haven't touched anything. So if you're looking to get your suspension revalved, just to, you know, according to your weight, your riding style, you know, your skill level, MX1's a great option for that. As far as the motor goes, you know, for 2019, this motor is a very lively, free-feeling engine. They did an incredible job, so very snappy, really quick throttle response. But it's not so much that it wants to rip out of your arms, but the bike just pulls and revs for a long time, and that's what gives it that free revving, that light feeling to the bike. So with this motor, the only spot that we felt it could use a little bit of help was actually just in the mid-range of the motor. So it has good hit at the bottom, but we felt like there's just a little bit of that mid where it needed some help. So we went the 4.1 titanium exhaust from FMF, and that just helped clean it up a little bit. So you still had that good snap off the bottom, a lot of usable power, but it just cleaned it up through the middle. So overall though, if you're picking up a 19 KX450, the motor is not going to disappoint you. There's plenty of power. They comes with 3 different couplers. I'm running the white coupler. We're up here at about 6,500 feet of elevation. So it's the more aggressive coupler. So I still want to maintain some of that hit off the bottom, especially up here at this altitude. So that's the motor. Again, they did an incredible job. Now what I want to talk about are just some parts that I've put on this bike that for me, I think are parts that any rider should put on their bike. If you're gonna go invest extra money into your bike, here's some parts that I think you should put on first. First one, make sure the bike is comfortable for you. What I mean by that is handlebar setup. So this bike comes with stock 7/8 handlebars. I went and upgraded to the 1 1/8 CFT handlebars from ODI. But one part that I think is a must-have is this one-piece handlebar clamp. Some bikes do come stock with those like a Suzuki, but if your bike just comes with your standard 2-piece handlebar clamps, this one piece has a lot more torsional rigidity. So if you have a crash or something as simple as a tip over, it's much more difficult for your handlebars to twist. So if you've had that happen before and you don't like to deal with getting off your bike, trying to straighten out your bars, this will help solve that problem. So awesome accessory to have. And also on top of that, if we look down here, radiator braces. So radiators, okay, they're not that sturdy on just a stock bike, you know, and if you do bend or break them, they are not cheap to replace. So if you want to give some added reinforcement to your radiators, I have these radiator braces from Works Connection. So they just come with everything you need, really easy to install. They just mount right up to the frame in the back of the radiator, and it just gives a lot of extra support. So for me, really important accessory to have to help protect your radiators. From there, we work down, we get to the foot pegs. So for 2019, the Kawasaki actually comes with oversized foot pegs, which is nice. They're still foot pegs, so they're good, but they are kind of heavy, and they're just not that sharp. I like to have as much grip as I can on the boots as possible. So I went with the Tusk billet race foot pegs on here. So with these oversized foot peg, the cleats on these are nice and sharp, so they just give a lot of grip to my boots. But one thing with those that I want to point out, with this bike especially, is these Cherubies foot peg covers. This is one accessory that I would recommend for this bike specifically. This bike, because of the geometry, when you come into a corner, if you have a deep rut and you really lay the bike over, it's really easy to get mud packed into the foot peg, so the foot peg stays stuck up, and that's really annoying to try and ride with the foot peg up. So by having these foot peg covers on there, they're inexpensive. You just slide them right over the top of your foot peg. It will just prevent mud from packing in there, so you don't have to worry about that happening to you. Now, another accessory on this bike that I definitely recommend is a skid plate. So this bike doesn't come with one stock. So the one I actually have on here is made by Kawasaki. What's nice about it is it has a nice sleek look to it, and it's inexpensive. They're about 20 bucks. So to get some added protection for your undercarriage, a skid plate I think is a must-have. From there, you've got a disc guard. We've got the Tusk disc guard on here, protect your rotors. The disc guard, this bike does come with them stock, but it's kind of thin plastic, kind of flimsy. So that's definitely a nice upgrade to have. Now let's talk about some of the parts that aren't must-haves for the bike, but if you want, they're nice to have on the bike for some added performance and longevity. The first one is this Recluse Clutch. So we actually didn't do the full core manual torque drive clutch in here. You know, there's a lot of riders that want to get more longevity and performance from their clutch, but it's a big investment. You know, sometimes you can be upwards of $1,000 for a full clutch kit. So what we actually did their torque drive clutch pack. So you get all the benefits of their clutch pack they have in their premium clutch kit, but you're not going to pay that premium price. What I love about it though, my favorite part about it, is that you have steel sleeves that go between the fingers on your clutch basket. So the friction discs, they don't notch out your clutch basket. So it adds performance and also longevity to your clutch. And then we also did do the Recluse clutch cover on here. Not something you have to have, but they are going to be stronger than OEM. Another nice accessory to have is this brake caliper from Ride Engineering. Now, brakes on 450s and 250s nowadays, they're really good brakes. Plenty of stopping power, but a complaint that a lot of riders have is how their brakes, you know, they're real sticky or real grabby. In other words, it's just kind of, it's either on or it's off. You don't have really good modulation. So with this brake caliper from Ride Engineering, it's got oversized piston. So it just helps give a little bit more modulation to the front brake. Amazing stopping power, just a little bit more feel. So if you're not real happy with your front brake right now, this will be a really good upgrade to have. And the last part we want to talk about that is nice to have is a wheel set. So on this bike, we've got the Tusk Impact wheel set, black rims, blue hubs, awesome look to the bike. I've ran the Tusk Impact wheels for years, and I'm telling you that value-wise, bang for your buck, this is the best wheel set you're gonna find. They're very strong, like I said, awesome looks. And on top of that, we've got the new Dunlop MX33 tires. And then drive components, we've got the new MX race chain from Primary Drive. We've got that Primary Drive sprocket on there as well. Now to cap it all off, obviously with any bike, you want to have a cool look to it, customize it and make it your own. So that's what we have done. So we've got some cool anodized components from Tusk on here. You can see full graphics kit from Attack Graphics. This is probably one of my favorite kits of all time. We call it the Zebra kit. So if you're looking to get some graphics on there with your name and number, your sponsors, you know, value-wise, Attack Graphics will do a great job, a nice affordable price point. And that is it. That is our bike build for the 2019 KX450. So if you guys have any questions about any of the products that we talked about today, feel free to leave your comments below. We'll get those answered. To pick up your parts for your bike and see everything that we carry for the 19 KX450, just click on the link at the end of this video. If you guys like this bike build, you want to see more just like it, our first ride reviews, our product spotlights, all the videos that we're doing at Rocky Mountain, well, make sure to click subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that's going to keep you up to date. I'm Chase. We'll see you on the trails.